Darth Maul had a double lightsaber. Worked out for him. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Scotty Karate video. Today we're going to be going over the double-edged sword. Well, not the physical, actual double-edged sword, but the metaphorical. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by a metaphorical double-edged sword when it relates to martial arts? Well, that's what I'm going over today's episode of. So, when you start training martial arts, you learn a few things pretty quickly. One, how to defend yourself, how to fight, and situational awareness, things that prevent you from being in a fight, right? Because the idea is not to know how to fight just to fight. You know, more people go to bars, start fights. The idea, in theory, is you know how to fight, so in case something actually does happen, you get attacked, jumped, robbed, now you know how to defend yourself. But the double-edged sword comes in that is people who make our laws or make different, we'll say, exclamation points about how people shouldn't fight, how you shouldn't be a fighter. And if you haven't run across this, it's not super uncommon. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've had many instances where people have made comments basically saying, well, I don't want my kids to know karate because I don't want them to fight. Yeah, no. I mean, if they train to fight, they're not actually fighting. They're training. You know, there's a degree here. Unless you're wanting your kids to jump in an MMA ring and actually fight, they're not actually going to fight in class. So that is a myth that comes with that. But the reality of what they're talking about is they think that violence breeds violence, right? So if I train to fight, then I'm going to want to fight. Or the classic case, if a kid likes to fight, gets in fights, starts hitting other kids, you know, the classic example that I give, and everybody, put them in karate, put them in a martial art, because it'll get that aggressive, physical, I want to fight out, and it puts it towards someone who needs it, right? So they'll put it towards a partner that's wanting to train to learn how to fight, get that aggression out, put it on a bag, whatever. But it gets it out of them instead of trying to find some schmo to attack and fight. So that's always a good thing. The double-edged part of it. We have multiple laws in the United States that basically say that you shouldn't fight. And ideally, you won't fight. But case in point, I'll give, since I'm talking about kids, I'll talk about our school system. A lot of our school systems have what we call a zero tolerance policy, which means if you're in a fight, you're in trouble. You start the process of whatever your state has set up for those. So either in-school suspension, out-school suspension, or straight up, you don't get to graduate, what have you, all the way up to probably going to juvie. Depends on how bad it is, how often it is, and so on. Now, zero tolerance sounds great on paper. You're like, no, we won't tolerate this. Except for that's not how the real world works. Let me give you an example. Let's pretend little nerd is walking down the hall. He is being picked on by, let's say, bigger, stronger person. Is that right? No. Now, he's just minding his own business. He's walking down the hall trying to get to his next class. The bully comes up, shoves him to the ground, jumps on top, and starts just hammering him.
Hey, give me 50 cents so I can buy a pop.
I don't have any, Rand.
Come on, I'll pay you back.
I don't have... Stop!
Because of zero tolerance, he's now in trouble as well. Not just the bully, the nerd is. So, that also obviously is wrong. But it gets even worse than that. Because bullies don't usually just run in one-person packs, right? They usually have 2 or 3 friends with them. Safety of numbers. So what they'll do is they'll jump the nerd, the kid being picked on, they jump him, attack him. He's now on the floor, either hurt, trying to avoid the fight, maybe if he's trying to fight back, maybe. The reality is, in almost all these cases, they get hurt. The person being bullied gets hurt. Well, they're left hurt. Know who isn't? The bullies who just ran. They don't get in trouble now. You know why? Because they aren't there. The teacher didn't see them. All they see is the kid on the ground that was obviously in a fight. He gets in trouble. To me, that's not right, but that's how it is. So, how did that rule come about? Well, lots of different ways. My theory on it is just simply, they didn't get their butt kicked. So, I say this a lot, it frustrates a lot of people, but the reality is there's a lot of people that probably do need to be in a fight. And that's where the double-edged sword metaphor comes from. Because most people who's been in a fight, say they've been jumped, they've been bullied, they've been, coming out of a bar and somebody tried to steal their wallet, what have you, whatever scenario it is, those people now have been introduced to violence. Not something I want. That's the other side of the sword. But because they have it, now they have that knowledge. So they now know what it's like to be the victim of violence. They now know what it's like to be minding your own business and have a bigger person shove you down on the ground and start beating you up. Because they have that knowledge, it affects how they view things. And if they're in a position of power, it also affects how they'll legislate or try to change laws or set rules for schools, for example. So, on one hand, ideally, no one gets in a fight, right? I say this all the time. I'm like, my goal when I train people is not to train them to learn how to fight so they go start fights. It's so, in case that rarity does happen, they can defend themselves. But if no one gets in a fight, then the few that do get in a fight have to deal with people who's never been in a fight, legislating or telling them how they should have reacted. And if you've never been in a fight, you don't know. Now, having sympathy, empathy, learning how the other people think is great, and that actually needs to happen. But it's so often the case that people that's never had these experiences don't try. Or they're so arrogant about it that they think they know better. Like, yeah, but if he would have just turned the other cheek and ran, that's not the case. That's almost never the case. Anybody who's ever been in a real fight will tell you most times turning the other cheek doesn't work. Running sure doesn't work. I mean, it's just so absurd. Anyone who's like, yeah, Mr. Robber, yeah, I know you want my wallet, but I'm going to have to just decline and walk away. Next time. No, they don't care if you turn your back because they're just going to knock you out and take your wallet. That's not how the real world works. But that's how they make it. That's how they say to do it. There's lots of states, United States, that straight up tell you if you're being attacked, your job is to run. You cannot defend yourselves or you're in trouble. Because, when you're in bed, asleep, and someone kicks in your front door and tries to run in and attack you, your first priority? Not to save your family. Not get an equalizer of some sort to stop the person trying to attack you. Your priority is to run. Heck with everybody else in the family. They're on their own. It's so absurd. And anyone who's been in a fight knows that. So, unfortunately, those people need some experience. Now, that's not what I want. I'm not advocating going out and attacking people. So don't think that's what this is. I'm just saying the metaphorical, you have someone who's never been in a fight that's ignorant to the situation, and that's probably what most of it is. They just never been in it. They can't imagine it, Nobody's going to be that violent. Yeah, they will. But they don't know because they've never had the experience. So they need the experience to know that. But the problem is, the other side of that sword, I don't want you to be in a fight. I don't want anyone to be in a fight. The idea is we don't have to fight. Double-edged sword becomes a problem real quick. So what about you? Have you been in a situation where, say, you were bullied or you were attacked and you got in trouble because of one of these bizarre rules? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell in the corner so you know when my videos are posted each week. And as always, the more you train, easier the fight.